Hello. Welcome to my meditation on how to lessen physical pain. This can also be used for anxiety and emotional pain. Right now, I'm about 6 hours post-surgery, and because of my body and my injuries, my personal protocol, I only have one kidney, is to take no pain meds unless it's absolutely unbearable. I'll take the prescription and I'll fill it and I'll let it sit so that I have it. But I won't take pain meds because I want to relieve my kidney of as much stress as I can. That's my option. I'm not prescribing this or saying anyone listening has to do the same. But just so you know where I'm coming at, I came out of arthroscopic surgery this morning. I am not on any pain meds and I am experiencing pain. And so one of the ways that I deal with pain, and that I have dealt with pain in my life because I've had a lot of physical pain over the years, is to name it, recognize it, essentially look it right in the face, and then focus on something else. Because for me, being in pain does not mean that I can't be happy. They're not tied. I'm actually quite happy and quite pleased and quite calm right now. Even though if I focus on the pain, and that's all I focus on, I could say I'm in a good amount of pain. Not unbearable, not crazy, but not light, not moderate either. So if this appeals to you and it resonates with you, find a comfortable seat. And ideally, I want your feet touching the ground. So sit in a chair, perhaps, and actually have your feet, no socks, no shoes, if possible, so that your bare feet are grounded. Okay. If possible, do this outside or do this on a wood floor, just because I believe it helps in grounding the body, more so than a carpeted floor, and especially a carpeted floor inside. That's going to be more challenging. All right. So allow your body to completely relax, and if that means pressing your back up against the chair, do so. If that means sitting upright away from the back of the chair, do so. Allow the spine to lengthen and the physical body itself, the physical system, to feel supported. Notice your sit bones and notice if you're really leaning to one side. In fact, exaggerate, lean to the left, and the right sit bone and hip gets light, and then exaggerate, lean to the right, and the left hip bone and sit bone get light. And then maybe just rock left and right, slowly, until you feel both sit bones grounded. Now also visualize your pubic bone and your tailbone equally grounded. Pubic bone is not going to touch and the tailbone's not going to touch. But if you were to drop an anchor from the bottom of the pubic bone and drop an anchor from the bottom of the tailbone, you would feel yourself grounding. Now those 4 points are essentially the very beginning of your pelvic floor. So just for a moment, draw the pubic bone and tailbone closer together, release, and then draw those sit bones closer together, and release. Now can you do all of that? Pubic bone, tailbone, and sit bones kind of like hug in, like you're hugging in from the inside, and then soften and release. Okay, this is going to be important in maintaining your alignment in general. But let's do that a couple more times. Pubic bone, tailbone, sit bones, hug in, and release. And one more time, hug in, and release. So in doing this simple exercise, did you notice that perhaps your pain or your anxiety shifted because your mind is focused on something else? Hopefully, yes. That, I would say, is a cornerstone of my technique on how to live with chronic symptoms of one type or other, be it physical or emotional. Okay. Allow your sit bones to be grounded. Soften that engagement of the pelvic floor for our meditation, please. Just notice those 4 corners. I'll call them that. Pubic bone, tailbone, right sit bone, left sit bone. Notice, be aware of them. And now just begin to allow your breath to expand gently. As you inhale just above that pelvic floor area, as if you're inhaling into the sacrum and the kidneys and the low back and the bottom ribs, and you might even feel the inhale widen into the sides of the waist. And as you exhale completely, just visualize again those four corners. You could gently draw them in at the base of the exhale, and then make sure you release. Inhale again, inhale into the pelvis, inhale into the sacrum, inhale into the low back, inhale into the ribs. And exhale completely, let all that go. And take one more breath like this at your own pace. Inhale into the low back. Inhale into sacrum, kidneys, bottom ribs, sides of the rib cage. Maybe the inhale lifts up even higher, kind of towards mid-ribs, towards sternum bone. And exhale completely. With that complete exhale, now pause. Hug the sit bones in, hug the pubic bone and tailbone in, connect with that pelvic floor. And once again, release. All right, let your breath be what it wishes now. If you wish to breathe in deep, deep breaths, go for it. If you just wish to let the breath pulse in and out on its own, allow that to happen. If you're feeling anxiety and if you feel like your heart is beating or something is disturbing your focus and your concentration, then I would like you to focus on the breath. Okay? Shift your awareness to the breath and just see if you can breathe 4, 5 slow, deep breaths. We'll take this next minute for all of us to get grounded. And continue to let your breaths either be deliberate and deep if you're dealing with anxiety, and if you're dealing with more of a pain threshold, you can either leave the breaths as they are, or channel them into this deliberate deep inhale and deliberate and deep exhale. One other technique I have for these last 10 seconds or so is to count the inhale. So assign a count. If you're counting to, let's say, 5, and that's how long it takes you to inhale. Then pause as if you're pausing for 1 beat, maybe 2, and then let your exhale match the inhale. So exhale also for 5. Maybe pause if that feels comfortable. If you're feeling anxious, just go right to your next inhale. Inhale for 5. And exhale for 5. Okay, now that you've established 2 practical tools, the pelvic floor exercise and this counting your breath exercise, you can pause and stop this recording now. Or if you want to go deeper, we're going to look at the pain, right? We're going to look at that anxiety. We're going to look at it. If you're not ready to look at it, hit pause and come back at another time, or just repeat the first part. Okay, if you're ready to look at it, let your eyes soften and close if they're not closed already. And imagine that you are in a room. Okay, now this room is entirely your space. I do this room meditation a lot. For today, this is your room. Visualize the most comfortable, pleasing, calming space that you could possibly exist in. Maybe this is some place that you've never been in. Maybe this is your dream room. Maybe you've actually visited this room somewhere. Visualize every detail. The room shouldn't be too large, but neither should it be so small that you can't move around. So I'd say the size of a comfortable bedroom or office. The room can have round walls. The walls can be made of stone, they can be made of marble, they can be made of wood, or they can be made of a regular wall, plaster, painted beautifully. Please visualize a window or 2 in your room and open up the window and imagine that you're letting in a little bit of warmth. If it's the kind of the middle of the day, that pleasant afternoon breeze. And if this room feels stuffy at all, open the windows even more. Let the room completely air out. And then start to look around your room and notice what's there. You might see a desk and a chair. You might see a couch or a comfy seat of some sort. You might see shelves. Start to notice the details and start to notice which things don't belong. Almost as if, you've got those days when you pick up the mail and there's all that junk mail. You don't have time to take out the junk mail and the mail pile builds and builds. And take this time and remove the junk. Okay, so notice in the room there's going to be a trash can. And if there isn't, I want you to grab a plastic trash bag from a cabinet or a shelf and create a trash can and start putting stuff in the trash can. This is stuff that does not belong at all, sort of that proverbial junk mail stuff. But it can also, and it should also, begin to encompass things that no longer serve you. So maybe there's an item that you received from a tour somewhere. You kept it. Why, you don't know. You look at it. It has no emotional meaning to you. Put it in the trash can. And start doing this. Start literally cleaning out the clutter from your room. Take as many things as possible that do not belong and put them in the trash can. If that trash bag gets full, you're going to open up the door to your room. Place the trash right outside. You don't have to throw it out just yet. Close the door, grab another trash can. As you're decluttering the room, declutter the cobwebs and the dust, right? Declutter also the physical stuff that doesn't belong, the physical matter that creates essentially an inwards clutter, right? Dirt, cobwebs, dust represent clutter. You don't need to be scrubbing things polished clean. I'm just saying clean out the gunk. So when you look at your room, you feel proud and happy to be there. And again, I'll give you a hint. This room can be anything. My room usually has an opening at the top, like a skylight for the sun to come in. That's what gives me joy. But your room can be anything you wish. Make sure it's well lit when you're doing this process, though. If you're kind of attracted to like a dark womb-like space, that's wonderful. But just turn up the dimmer on the light so that you can see and clean out that space. Okay, so let's say you filled up 2 trash cans. Maybe there's more to go. Keep going. You're going to put all the trash just outside your door, and don't worry about it. You don't have to toss it out forever. We're just getting it out of your room for now. Don't worry about where it's going to go. Close the door. And now look around your room, and we're going to symbolically assign a space in your room that represents your pain or your anxiety. Okay, so look around and notice, where does that pain reside? Right? If this room is you, where is it? You could say, oh, it's my knee or my hip, or I'm feeling it in my head, or it's all inside of me. That's fine. But visually create something in the room, a space that represents what you don't want. And I want you just to look at it. Look at it as if you're observing it from the outside. So for me right now, I'm observing a throbbing, thudding, slight sharpness, tenderness. And I'm naming my pain. Okay? And in my room, my pain is sort of this bizarre, like, stuffed animal. I don't know how it got there, but it's sitting on a stool. Your pain can be something completely different. It's important to assign a visual space and object to the pain or to the anxiety. And once you name it, once you look at it, once you feel it, you sense it, you recognize what it is, then you're going to take a box. Could be a big box, could be a small box. And here's the thing, we're not getting rid of the pain. We're going to live with it. But we're going to live with ourself and all of ourself alongside with it. And you're going to put the pain or the anxiety in a box. And you're going to place it somewhere where it still is you, right? Because sometimes we can't quite get rid of it yet. I can't diminish what happened this morning, surgery. I can't pretend it didn't happen. To do so would be ridiculous. But I don't have to focus on it constantly, over and over again. So I'm putting it in a box, and I'm choosing a space on the very lower bookshelf for me in my room in the corner. And you could do something entirely different. But visually imagine putting it away. And now look back at your room and start to notice everything else in there that brings you joy. And if there aren't things that bring you joy, start putting them out there. Remember, this is a visualization. You can do whatever you want with it. You can walk over to your bookshelf. You can walk over to your cabinet, let's say. You can walk over to your file cabinet, let's say, and you can pull out things, memories, pictures, items, momentums, plants, flowers. No people, please. Keep this room to yourself. And place them. Place these items where you can look at them and you can create a sense of peace and calm. And once you've decorated your room like this, now turn around and bask in all parts of you. Notice that box. It's still there, but there's so many other things in this room that are not dependent on that box. And take a gentle breath now. Breathe it in. Breathe all of you in. Exhale completely and fully. And take another deep breath. Breathe it in. And exhale completely and fully. Now, before you kind of leave this metaphoric visual space, close your windows. I believe it's important to seal our energy. Close any openings. And you may exit the room. And if you exit the room and those trash bags are still there and you want to dump them in the dumpster, metaphorically speaking, do so. If you're not ready to get rid of that trash, just leave it outside your room. All right, start to come back to your actual physical breath and your physical body in this moment. Feel the breath in the low back, the sacrum, the pelvis. Feel it widen and expand. Exhale completely and fully. Widen and expand again. Start to maybe stretch one arm or the other. Or if you're in a chair, you want to kind of twist. Take one hand to opposite knee, twist to one side, twist to the other. Maybe if you're in a chair, you want to lean over, place your forearms on your thigh and just kind of fold forward, move the head left and right softly. And welcome back to your life. I hope this meditation helped. Thank you for listening.